Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. It's kinda early. When I say kinda early, I mean it's like 9:30. I think. I could swear it said 10 upon me. Oh no, okay, it is only about 9:30. Okay. I was a little worried for a second. So it's like, wait, didn't it say 10, but it's 9:30? Yeah, So today's the day I'm going to be finishing recording up the main story of Fire Emblem, which is nice. I have literally 3 chapters left to record, which is nice. Then I have all the bonus content to record, including Ephraim's Path, which once again, that's going to take me playing through the game again, which I can do, and I'm actually going to be using a different set of units for Ephraim's Path. Throughout the series, I did make a restore point at the path switch, so I could have just gone back and used that, but I actually want to use a different set of units, because Ephraim does recruit people in a different order. So that opens up a better, more opportunities to use people that I just really couldn't exactly recommend in Erika's Path. As much as that is one thing that Fire Emblem Sacred Stones does incredibly well. Without needing to reclass anybody, like in Awakening, everybody can be useful. Characters that you get late generally will have stats of what they should on average have at that level. If they had leveled up to 20 of their previous class, and, usually it's assumed around 15 from my looking at the stats, but still, it's good enough. Like, these characters will still work. I mean, and from what I understand, literally everybody can work because of something in the post-game. This is for post-game content. But, basically, you have limitless ability to get permanent stat increase items, apparently. I can't say for certain. I've honestly never done the post-game content. As I've mentioned before, I have never beaten Sacred Stones. It was my first Fire Emblem, but I never finished it. I got to the final chapter and then lost the game cartridge. Well, I didn't lose it. I had, it was more or less a family game cartridge, and I had given it back to my oldest brother, and then when I went looking for it again, he had no idea where it was. So, I've in general taken the blame for losing it, but it was him that lost it. Oh, Melee wants something. I've been thinking lately, am I really gonna stay in Halifax forever? I'd hope not, 'cause I'm not the biggest fan of you, Melee. I'm sorry. Not forever, that means I'll be moving eventually. So you think I should just get it over with now? No, I'm not gonna say that, because that's just rude. I'll tell her not to move. Huh? You want me to stay a spot? It's nice to hear you say that, but I don't want to lose my momentum and wind up staying here forever, Salsa. Well, I guess I'll think about it a little more, Salsa. I mean, I want her to move, but I don't want to be like, please move. I don't like you. I mean, I just said that, but I don't want to say that to her face. That's rude and mean. And rude. But, yeah, literally, in my early research on the characters I was actually going to use for Sacred Stones, I ran into a lot of people being like, oh, just, Seth's amazing, just use him. I'm like, wait, what? Seth's the starter paladin. He's gonna peak early and then be just trash. What are you guys all on about? But no, apparently there is basically infinite number of permanent stat ups at the post game, meaning Seth can actually in the post game hold his own as well as anyone else. Plus he's already a classed up unit, so he'll make the early game relatively easy, and then the the post game is just as easy as it, with anyone else. Because I will admit, Sacred Stones is probably the easiest Fire Emblem, at least I've ever played. I've definitely played hard. Well, not the easiest. The easiest is Awakening. Awakening is the easiest because if you have the time to put into it, your characters can be stat capped before you're even into Chapter 4. Like, that's just something you can do. And it's a little broken, if I'm honest. I'm actually not sure if it works that way with Fates. Like I said, I've not played enough of that. I want to play more of it, but I just haven't got around to it. But yeah, like, it is definitely the easiest of the early Fire Emblems. Which really makes me question why it's... Like, it's a good game. Don't get me wrong, it is an amazing game. But it has better reviews than Shadow Dragon. When Shadow Dragon is just objectively a better game. Like, I get a lot of people don't like that it removed basically the general support system, from what I understand. But it could just be me, but that's not something I ever really deal with in the Fire Emblems, is, the support system. Like, in Awakening, I've been trying to make the game difficult for myself by using characters that literally cannot gain support with each other, by using Spot Pass characters. Like, I know I need to still have Chrom and the Avatar character leveled up, so they'll join the group when necessary. And they have A rank support with each other, because my Avatar character's male, he can't marry Chrom. But, like, other than that, my entire group is Spot Pass characters, and they don't pair up. And you would be astounded at how many skills just are useless to me now. Because I'm not pairing up units, my group doesn't move as just a death ball. It moves much like an old Fire Emblem unit would work. But that means things like the Griffin Rider's pickup ability, or pickup skill, that gives them +2 to movement if they're paired with somebody, is literally useless to me. Making arguably one of my favorite classes on my first most of the way playthrough useless. At least on its skill-wise. I could still use it for its weapon loadout, but there's just better classes with that weapon loadout. Like, when you're not pairing people up, a lot of the classes become pretty much useless. Because, each class does have an innate bonus. And pairing them up generally gives the classes that don't have a great innate bonus, but have a great bonus in, like, being a flyer, they make that unit a lot better, because you can have the flyer carry the one you want to be doing the fighting to the combat, swap to the one you want to be doing combat, and fight with them. Meaning, in a way, every female character should be a flyer. Especially where there is a flyer for every job. Like, literally, you can have a healing flyer, a dark magic, like a magic combat flyer, an axe-wielding flyer, a spear-wielding flyer. There's a flyer for every job. I think the only thing they can't handle is using swords, but if you've got 2/3 of the weapon triangle, it doesn't really matter at that point. As much as even, like, late-game weapon triangle doesn't matter anymore either. That's kind of always been a complaint I've had with the Fire Emblem series, is late-game the weapon triangle just doesn't matter. Because your stats are so high, you're compensating for it. I mean, if you have 2 stat-capped characters fighting each other, sure, that's, That's gonna make the weapon triangle matter a bit, but still not enough to matter. Because they're both, no matter if they're at an advantage or not, advantage or disadvantage, they're probably both gonna have an equal chance to hit the other. And that'll either be a 100 or 80% chance. Basically both being effectively 100%. Early game, the weapon triangle matters a lot. Because everyone's stats are low. They are very low. Thus, the weapon's innate bonus it gets for being, you know, being an advantage over the opponents matters a lot more. Oh, jeez. I just nailed that fish with the bobber. There we go. It's probably just going to be another sea bass, but... 3, 4, 5. Yep, sea bass. But like, yeah. I don't understand why so many people dislike Shadow Dragon. Like, if anyone's watching this that likes Fire Emblem but doesn't like Shadow Dragon, could you tell me why you don't like it? Like, is there something about its gameplay that you just don't like? Because, like, looking up reviews, you literally can't, at least I can never find a review that actually explains why they don't like it. And that honestly just gets frustrating, because it's like, well, why don't you like it? That's kind of the point of, you know, leaving a review, is saying why you don't like the thing. And it leads to, if there is a legitimate issue with the game, like say if Shadow Dragon was actually legitimately bad, someone like me isn't going to really know that. It's just going to look like, well, these people are just leaving joke reviews, I guess. And I'm going to play it, I'm going to buy it and play it anyway. Which is honestly something I've been warning people about with Diablo Immortal. Is don't just leave meme reviews. Like, doing that isn't going to help anybody. You'll get a slight chuckle out of it. And then casual gamers are going to look at that and be like, well, it's just the, you know, the hardcore gamers being salty. And they're going to download, play it, and buy stuff in the game anyway. When leaving a review, you should seek to be as objective as possible. Like, if I were to leave a review of... Let me try and think of a game I dislike. It's honestly kind of hard to find a game I dislike that isn't just like a horrible, horrible propaganda game. Because I can see the merits in every game, even if I don't actually like playing it. Hold on, I need to look at my games. You know, no, that's a good example I just noticed in my GameCube games. SpongeBob Lights Camera Pants. Say I'm leaving a review of that. It's a game I played a lot as a kid. It's actually a really good game. But if I was leaving a negative review of that game, I would bring up that the minigames get repetitive, because they do. It is definitely a game designed towards children. It has a lot of simple, repetitive minigames. But for the first few hours, they will be fun. That's how you leave a review. You know, you take your opinion, which my opinion is the game is good, out of it. And, well, okay, the minigames would get repetitive, so let's mention that. The minigames get repetitive, because there's not many of them. It's not Mario Party levels of minigames. Even though with a Mario Party game, the minigames do still get repetitive after a while. It's just there's enough of them that it takes so long that it's honestly impractical that you would have played the game that much for you to get sick of the minigames. unless you do what my oldest brother does, which is turn off mini games he doesn't, you know, just like and is good at, and then complain because, you know, he's seen Bookworm for Book Squirm, something like that, the one with the book pages falling, because he's seen that like 20 times in a row because he's turned off most of the other mini games because he's not good at them. No, I don't care if you heard me saying that. I feel like that line of thought is actually one of the big things that separates me from a lot of gamers, though. A lot of gamers, and people in general, if they're not good at a thing, that thing is bad. And they just don't like it because they're not good at that thing. Whether that thing is good or not. And then there's me that's like, well, no, it's a good thing. I just suck at it. I mean, the best example is I've heard many people, the most vocal of which, mostly because I have to currently live with him, is my oldest brother on this, and that's motion controls being terrible. Not once throughout this entire series has this ever desynced. This has always been exactly where I want it to be. The motion controls work fine. Same with, like, Splatoon. The motion controls are flawless. The only issues I've had, and I'm willing to bet it's an issue with our Joy-Cons, not the motion controls themselves, is occasionally the Joy-Con will just stick in doing something. Now that can be, you know, moving the motion, like the motion controls. It can get stuck turning. Or, that could mean it got stuck with the map open. Like, it's just the inputs freeze, and I don't understand why. Like I said, I think it's an issue with just our Joy-Cons. And I'd honestly like to just get another set of Joy-Cons just to test. Actually, I could just pair them up with my laptop and test that way. But, like, basically where he wasn't good with the motion controls, he couldn't quite figure them out, they were new, he didn't like them, they're bad, they're unreliable. They're, you know, name a thing, they're that, unless it's good. You know, that's his and a lot of people's general thinking when it comes to motion controls. Even though once you put in the time to get used to them, which they do take getting used to, especially for something like Splatoon. If you pick up Splatoon 2, or the first Splatoon, either one, and you use the motion controls and... Nana wants something? Oh, hey, Spot. I've got something for you. Okay, it's a new shirt. It's nothing special, just a club shirt that I dug out of the recycling bin, Popo. It looked like the sort of thing you'd like, so I pulled it out, cleaned it up a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, that didn't come out right. If you don't want it, you can throw it out. That's fine. Bam! Club shirt. I'm guessing Melee was just asking Nana if she wanted to move. But yeah, like, if you get Splatoon, expect the motion controls to be awkward at first. But you will get used to them. Just practice. It's literally the same with anything else. Like, as much as you probably don't remember it, whenever you first picked up a controller, it was awkward. Because it was new. You're not used to it. Motion controls are the same way. I mean, it's the same as like when you first move into, say, like PC gaming from console gaming. It's gonna feel awkward because you're used to controllers. And now you have to keep your hands in a completely different way. Your hands are much further apart. You know, that can feel awkward and different. The problem is a lot of people forget that they ever went through that. So when it comes to a new control method, it's just automatically bad. Because they forget they ever had to deal with it. And I forget if we ever actually donated the Popeye goldfish to the museum. So I know we had one at one point, and I gave it to a villager. So I think I'm actually going to go check that. Because I think our inventory is basically full of fish anyway. But there's another fish here. I think I scared it away. Oh, no. I think we actually have to listen for this one. There we go. Carp. He's pretty sharp. But yeah, it's best to like always try and catch yourself when you find yourself doing that. And be like, is this actually bad, or is it just new and I don't like it because it's new? And if you find it's just because you're not liking it because it's new, just try and put that out of your head. Okay, we've already donated one. Cool. Because, like, when I first picked up the Wii U and was playing the first Splatoon, the motion controls felt so awkward to the point where for my first, like, 5 or 6 streams that I did on it, I was using stick controls. Because the motion controls felt so awkward. But the chat convinced me to give the motion controls another try. And to just not think they're bad. And yeah, for a few days of streaming, I was really bad. But it was fun. Like, it was fun being bad because it's like, well, you know, I know I'm gonna get better at this, so I missed a fish. I want to sell it all at once, Nook. Yeah, that's the thing I've been having the most trouble with, is the buttons. Like, that is a common trend. Like, motion controls will be solid. It'll be the buttons that screw up. Like, I've honestly legit gone back and watched some of those earlier streams again. Because it is nice to see where I came from skill-wise with Splatoon. Because like, the second game, going back and watching those early streams, yeah, I've not really improved any from then to now. Like, my skill has kind of plateaued. I mean, I imagine I've gotten better in subtle ways, but not anything major. But, like, from my very first days of playing the first Splatoon, which I did my literal first experience with that game on stream. Like, hadn't even played the single player, I just hop in and start streaming it. That was fun. I want another game I can do that with. That's like a more competitive style game like Splatoon. Because that was fun. Not knowing what I was doing and having people from the community literally embrace that was awesome. And I did have people from the community embracing it. It was a really good feeling. It's like, yeah, I'm doing a thing. And like, I'd make little victories and the people in the chat would get so excited because like, I'm accomplishing little things that they remember learning. Just occurred to me we have 2 black bishops here. Like, these are bishops. I now have a 3rd bishop. Well, I have a bishop for when a pawn reaches the other side. I do legit wonder if these rooms are big enough to turn them into a chessboard. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's stream. I was really hoping a video I have exporting in the background would be done by now, but it isn't because OBS slows it down. I didn't think of that. Yeah, with that, I'd like to remind everyone I do have a Patreon, should you wish to throw money at my face, link down below. And with that said, I thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.